Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me for this segment, we have Srini Koushik. He's Chief Technology Officer of Rackspace Technology to discuss what skills will be essential to harness generative AI effectively, including strategies for reskilling, upskilling, and talent acquisitions. Srini, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
It's a pleasure to be here.
All right. How will generative AI transform industries rapidly, comparable to the accelerated adoption of smartphones and mobile apps?
It's actually interesting that you picked that as an example, because I tend to use large language models as the analogy for the invention of the iPhone, right? And then every app that's come after that has been building on the capabilities that were there. So what we see with ChatGPT is just that first killer app. So we are going to see a lot more tailored applications for specific problems being created with generative AI in every industry, across every domain.
How does generative AI differ from other forms of artificial intelligence, and what specific applications make it transformative force in various industries?
Yeah, one of the big things that people don't realize is AI has been around for 70 plus years. I think what generative AI has done is, in my words, like what it's done is it's made English as a programming language, as opposed to, all of the complicated data science and the capabilities that you needed. And with English or any natural language and prompt engineering and others, you've democratized the AI and you've made it available to a lot more people. So generative AI is that leap step that takes like a lot of things that was just limited to that select few of really smart people, and it's put the power in the hands of many. So that's a great evolution.
What are the anticipated changes in the workforce due to implementation of generative AI, and what skills will be essential to harness generative AI effectively, including those strategies for reskilling, upskilling, talent acquisition?
Yeah, I think generative AI is going to do to the white collar and knowledge workforce that the automation thing did to blue collar workers a few decades ago. I think this is big. However, I don't think it's a threat. What I believe it does is it removes people from the day-to-day toil and allows us to go up that hierarchy. And I think for me, I describe it as moving up the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? So with all of the tech innovations, we've been in the food, shelter, clothing space. Where generative AI is going to be able to take us is reduce that toil. Like, if I have to do research, I don't have to spend hours doing that. But then what it means is, from a skill standpoint, you've got to evolve to more creative thinking, curiosity, problem solving, and that critical thinking, because you just don't take what comes out of generative AI and use it as is, but how do you apply that thing that is uniquely human to it? So there's a lot of skills that actually play to our strengths as humans that will become more important.
What strategic opportunities and challenges arise due to the widespread adoption of generative AI?
Well, we're seeing some of those already today, right? You see the writer's strike and the issues with copyright protection and all those other things that come in. I think as generative AI starts to move into more and more important areas, we're going to have to wrestle with how do you use AI responsibly, right? And especially if you're going to use it to augment decision making, or even replace humans in some parts from a decision-making standpoint, there's a lot of bridges to cross before we get there. But it's actually pretty important that we take it on front and center. Everybody gets excited about the technology aspects of generative AI, but wrestling with the ethical implications, the sustainability implications are equally important, if not more important, for us to be able to coexist with AI going forward.
How can individuals in entry-level positions embrace generative AI and utilize its capabilities to enhance their work?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I have a couple of daughters who are just entering into the workforce, and I keep telling them, you got to be ready for a future where AI is a co-worker. And just like we've trained, and when I was growing up, you trained on teamwork, right? You went through the forming, storming, norming. How do you actually work with and collaborate with people? I think this generation has to get used to working with AI. And how do you leverage AI for its strengths? And how do you kind of start using your unique ability as a human being to be able to, build on top of what AI gives you? So I think it's an exciting time for anyone coming in. I think there are people who may view it as a threat. I view it as a huge opportunity because we can go to new heights when we work symbiotically with AI.
You had mentioned ethical implications before with the rapid integration of this type of technology. How can we address these concerns to ensure responsible and beneficial implementation?
Yeah, I think there are techniques that are already getting put in place. I do believe that any organization adopting it has to be able to put in place principles for the ethical use of AI that reflects their values, that reflects their social commitments and their commitments to their employees. I think there's a way to programmatically install it into the way you're training AI. There's techniques such as constitutional AI and others that have come in that allows us to do that. But in addition, I think it is very important because AI is only as good as the data it's trained on. So being able to ensure that you are, I call it you're ensuring the integrity of the supply chain of AI data is going to be very important, because if you lose control of that, then the decisions that come out of it are not going to reflect what you want as an organization, as an individual. So there's, as I mentioned before, there's a lot of excitement about the technology, but I'm equally excited about how you evolve the ethical considerations, how you evolve, how we as humans learn to live with, right? And this is really no different in my mind than what our ancestors had to kind of work with when machines came along and took out their the art, the craftsman piece. It's not like craftsmanship died; it just evolved to where we are today. And I do believe that's the same thing that we're going to have to go through over the next decade or so.
All right, Srini, we appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.